Hello everyone, my name is Disney Miss Lizzie and welcome to the first in a series of Disney books. Today we will be looking at Elizabeth Rudnick's A Frozen Heart. A Frozen Heart is about Hans and Anna and how they met and life before that. It is told through various chapters in a third-person perspective. Author Elizabeth Rudnick is the senior editor at the Disney Press Office in New York and has written multiple Disney books, including the novelisation for Beauty and the Beast, Mulan, and the Captain America series. She's also written her own YA novel entitled Tweetheart. The purpose of A Frozen Heart is to provide fans with extra details following Hans and Anna's life. It also gives us an insight into the politics of the Southern Isles, as well as the relationship between Hans, his mother, father, and Hans's 12 older brothers. From the moment we meet Hans, we discover that he has a turbulent relationship with not only his mother and father, but also his older brothers. He is filled with frustration and anger, but also a desire to gain their attention, their respect and admiration for him. On his mother's birthday, Hans conducts a plan to change this, inspired by the teachings of his older and more studious brother, Lars. He goes to his father requesting more responsibilities for the crown of the Southern Isles, and to which his father agrees, though he gives him the work that he doesn't want to touch, such as gaining late repayments from his constituents that Hans has to perform. Other than the task that his father has set to him, Hans spends most of his time studying the politics of the various countries, finding out who could be the best alliance. And then, 3 years later, Arendelle are ready to coronate their new queen, Elsa. This is where Hans can really shine. He conducts a plan that would involve meeting and marrying Elsa in order to gain control of Arendelle. The king grants Hans his wishes, giving him 24 hours to complete the task. Satisfied, Hans walks away and finishes conducting his plan on how to entice Queen Elsa. Meanwhile, Anna is desperate to seek a connection with Elsa, but cannot understand why her sister keeps rejecting her. Soon, she meets Hans and falls deeply in love with him. They plan to wed as soon as possible, and they inform Elsa straight away. But when Elsa says no and tries to flee, Elsa freezes the whole of Arendelle with her magic and runs to the North Mountain. It is now up to Anna to find her sister and bring her home, marry Hans, and live happily ever after. Or so she thinks. Whilst reading A Frozen Heart, I kept a video diary so I could log my thoughts as I went reading it. And so, here it is. I love the front cover of it. I think it's different. So anyway, I'm now in my pyjamas. I'm going to go and chill out with this for a bit, and then I will keep you updated with my thoughts on what I think of it so far. So I'll see you in a bit. Okay, so I'm about 46 pages in. I'm going to stop for tonight because I'm very, very tired. Mixed opinions of it at the moment. Hopefully Anna's side will start to pick up a little bit more, but it is definitely interesting reading about Hans's. I've read a little bit more from Frozen Heart. Hans's chapters are a little bit more interesting, and we're getting to know Hans's situation a little bit more, but still it would have been better if it had been written from a first person perspective, and if Hans could have been the unreliable narrator that he could have tried to have manipulated the reader as well as Anna. From Anna's perspective, we already sort of know what Anna was thinking and feeling through Frozen, so as a fan and as a reader and as a viewer of Frozen, it's not really offering me anything new from Anna's perspective. But I get the feeling that through a marketing ploy, the book maybe wouldn't have sold as well because we don't know that much about Hans. And, Frozen is Anna and Elsa's story. Okay, so I've just gotten up to the bit where Anna has met Kristoff and she's about to go into the sled with Kristoff, and Hans is looking after Arendelle. These chapters have definitely started to pick up a lot more. They aren't so drawled out, and Anna, I feel, has a lot more to say in it now than she did previously. Hans is still providing the better chapters. He's starting to slow down a little bit as he's taking over the governing of Arendelle and how he feels about it, and I still feel that it would have been better as a as a first person narration. However, it's nice to see that the story is progressing at a faster rate, that Anna has a bit more to say now, she has a bit more to do, and yeah. Finally finished Frozen Heart. It's a little bit difficult for me to sort of sum up what I really feel about it, because it's based on one of my all-time favourite Disney films and one of my all-time favourite Disney characters, but it just didn't do what I wanted it to do, so, which is a shame, but I will go into it in more detail now. So my initial thoughts was disappointment. I didn't get a lot out of it, and it's a shame because I adored the front cover. I think, as I said in the video diary, it's such a great nod to Frozen and to that scene from Love is an Open Door where Hans and Anna create the heart, and it is my favourite book cover. However, there was very little to be desired from Anna's character, and because the book is so loyal to the film, so every so often you get lines crop up from the film in the book, it doesn't leave a lot of breathing space for Anna to sort of evolve. However, there was a moment where we did discover something new about Anna. Although it's small and doesn't necessarily affect the character, it was interesting reading that scene, and that came from when Anna watched her mother and father try and suppress Elsa's powers. She sees Elsa in floods of tears and she doesn't know quite what to do. She wants to comfort her sister, but ultimately she has to leave because it's a very private and personal moment that she shouldn't be privy to. And although we've seen that in Do You Want to Build a Snowman, A Frozen Heart gave that sequence a darker aspect to it, and it worked really, really, really well. It also made me wish that I could enter Elsa's head at that point. Again, I think having either Hans's point of view throughout Frozen Heart and turning it into a villainous novel would have worked better, or to have split up the chapters so it wasn't just Hans and Anna, so you also had Elsa in there sort of discussing her feelings, and it would have been interesting to have found out if she'd ever been jealous of Anna. Anna could be free where Elsa couldn't. Was there a slight resentment when Anna announced her engagement of, okay, you found love, but I still have to stay here, I still have to be confined because I'm not allowed to feel. And I think that would have been a very, very, very interesting perspective to have had. Hans talking, Anna talking, Elsa talking, and Kristoff, though possibly it would have been too many voices in there. But it needed something more, or to have just been Hans speaking, because his chapters I found were the most interesting out of the book. But Hans's background is definitely a lot darker than I was anticipating. From the description that Hans gave in the film, it sort of felt more like a light-hearted, brotherly thing of the baby brother and him trying to step out of that baby brother's shadow. But in A Frozen Heart, it's far more corrupt, it's far more darker than I assumed. Kristoff is another character that I wish we could have been privy to. I would have loved to have found out more about his history, and if he remembers the trolls doing this ceremony, then at some point has he recognised Anna or Elsa? Are there echoes of that memory still there where he thinks, oh, I have seen you, you're the girls that I watched having the ceremony performed with, or the magic spell removed? And I think that would have been a very clever, okay, so he does remember, or I know you from somewhere, but I can't picture where. So he clearly remembers what happened with the trolls and Elsa, so it would have been really cool if he'd have remembered them. One of the main positives that I had with A Frozen Heart was the appearance of Oaken. As soon as I read the words, "Ooh," I smiled, and it was just, oh my gosh, it's such a joy to have you here. And he sort of came into his own a lot more. So there's an interaction between him and Hans. Hans is trying to interrogate Oaken and trying to find more information about where the Queen could have possibly gone. And despite the fact that Oaken is in this snuggly jumper that is slightly too small for him, he is a threatening figure to Hans. So that was an interesting dynamic choice, because we know Oaken is and especially if you've seen the Broadway or the West End version of Frozen, you will know the Hygge song. And when you have that in your mind, Oaken becomes a lot less threatening, but it's brilliant to see him with these interactions with Hans. Another thing that I really enjoyed about A Frozen Heart was the description that Hans was mirroring people, and this is something that has been mentioned before on the Super Carlin Brothers channel. It's my favourite theory, so I will definitely link that video here. It'll be in the description, and it'll also be in the card up here. And it's a clever nod to the original fairy tale, because there's something to do with the Snow Queen and reflecting. I think it's to do with glass in the eye. I will have to read the actual fairy tale, but it's a nod to that. But it's also a clever reference to Hans's psychological and manipulation abilities. And with that, I feel that he was losing himself more and more. The more he reflected and mirrored people, regardless of their emotion, whether they were angry, whether they're aggressive, whether they were being kind or timid, he would reflect that. But then I think he was losing more and more of himself to get what he needed, which was power and revenge and respect from his family. So it was really clever having those moments and just, okay, we've got the mirroring effect here. And that is my all-time favourite Frozen theory as well. So it was nice to see it being confirmed in something that is officially linked to Disney. Now, I never knew some of the other characters' names in A Frozen Heart, particularly the horses, and that was cool as well, because it gave you a bit more of an understanding of the characters and it layered them as well. I do admire a deeply layered character, so to have these little references and quite personal details made these sections stand out. And I never knew the horses were called Citron and, forgive my Norwegian pronunciation, Kajik, 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 Kikik, Krik, Krikik, Krik. I'm going to assume it's that, Krik. And it made the book stand out for me more, knowing that information, and it gave the characters depth and it made me feel closer to them. My overall thoughts were this should have been Hans's villainous novel. I think that would have worked so much better, and I think it needed to be a first-person narrative. It would have been better to sort of have a slight twist where, as the reader, you're feeling that connection with Hans, and then bam, you get to see the real one. So even though we know what he's going to do, it would have been a wonderful twist to have had, hang on a minute, what's happening, and to have manipulated the reader as well as Anna. But it could have done as well with Elsa's voice. If we were to look at the strategy that it has now, I think Elsa's voice would have been interesting to have as well. You know, how did Elsa genuinely feel when she heard this news of Anna getting engaged to Hans? Was there a slight resentment there? Was there slight jealousy? As much as she's covering her emotions up, did little bits of envy come through? And I think that could have been a very interesting twist to the story. The moments that did stick out for me were more to do with Hans than Anna, which is a shame because I adore Anna. I think she's a wonderful princess and a wonderful role model. But I do wonder if it's because I'm the wrong demographic, I'm in the wrong age group, that I just couldn't quite connect with Anna, which is fine, because I'm going to give this book, I mean, toying between 2.5 stars to 3 stars. I might be a little bit more genteel with it and possibly give it a 3-star rating. It wasn't awful, it just didn't capture me, but there were moments that did make me smile and did make me laugh. However, my rating is definitely in the minority, because everywhere else on the internet loves A Frozen Heart, and I've seen on several reviews that people actually preferred Frozen Heart to Frozen. But if you've read A Frozen Heart, what did you think of it? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Were you somewhere in the middle? Let me know what you think by dropping me a message in the comments. I would love to read your thoughts and opinions. So anyway, thank you so much for joining me. If you like what I do and want to know more, then please hit that subscribe button, like and share this video so we can build up the community. And for more Disney quizzes, quotes, trivias, song lyric challenges, etc., then please follow me on Instagram and TikTok. And also keep your eye out for the next Disney Book Club episode. As well as Disney, I also talk about Doctor Who, because Disney Plus have bought Doctor Who. I'm also looking into the other animations that aren't Disney but always closely linked, like Anastasia, so keep your eyes out for those. So anyway, thank you so much, have a wonderful day, and I will see you very soon. Okay, bye guys, bye!